The name of my article was The Effectiveness of a Tablet Computer Aided Intervention Program for Improving Reading Fluency. I chose this particular article because I work with middle school students who have IEPs, and they are all on a first or second grade reading level, and it's difficult to keep them motivated about reading. So I'm always looking for new strategies or ideas to improve my teaching and to help my students. So Osbach and Gurley 2017 conducted a fluency study on three third and fourth grade students who have IEPs. The purpose of the study was to examine the effect of computer assisted interventions on fluency. The researchers used a single subject model that showed improvements in the participants' fluency assessments. Since children are immersed in technology at a very young age, some interact with computers far more than print material. So these researchers thought it would be beneficial to use technology to advance our research knowledge. Asback and Gurley 2017 argued that all students, in particular students with learning disabilities, should be privy to computers just as much as their peers. Audio tapes and recording devices were commonly used in the past. Today, schools have invested in laptops, tablets, and computer software. The researchers believe technology had a positive impact on students' reading outcomes, especially those with reading difficulties. They also believed technology usage increased reading motivation. So when I use computers with my students, my focus is on motivation first. Reading is already an arduous task for them, so if they're not motivated to read, they will more than likely not make any progress. So the researchers in this study used a single subject design. Prior to reading this article, I had never heard of this design. However, once I looked it up, I found that it is popular in the field of special education, and the participants serve as the treatment and control group. So not only did they use single subject design, but they also interviewed the students and their parents about their thoughts on using iPads to motivate and improve reading fluency. The researchers mentioned two fluency studies that served as the basis for this study. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the other researchers' names because it's too difficult. So I'm just going to say Kun et al. 2010 conducted a study that identified reading fluency as a skill that makes interference easier and includes rate, accuracy, and prosody. Osman 2017 conducted a study that evaluated the effectiveness of fluency on students with disabilities. So this study logically extends the previous research by including technology to first motivate students to read and to focus on fluency, which is necessary to comprehend a text. So the researchers chose to use a qualitative method to ensure they not only reported the effect of computer assisted reading on fluency, but that they reported what the experience was like for the students who used the technology and the thoughts of their parents. A quantitative method would not have been able to depict this internal information. There were 3 participants in the study, 2 boys and 1 girl in 3rd and 4th grade. Each was diagnosed with a learning disability, and they all had low reading levels. Prior to beginning the intervention, the students' reading fluency was assessed. So all of the names that were used are pseudonyms. So Essie, a 10-year-old 4th grader, was the only female student in the study. She had an IEP, and there was a computer in her home However, the researchers mentioned she had limited access to it. Udke, a 9-year-old male in 4th grade, had an IEP, and he was identified with reading difficulties. He had a computer in his home, but there was limited access as well. The final child was Sarif. He was the 9-year-old male in 4th grade who had an IEP and was also identified with a reading difficulty. Sarif had his own computer and his family reinforced its usage. So the criteria for the selection was the student had to have an IEP, the student had to have a diagnosis in a university hospital. I'm not really sure what that meant. And the student had to be significantly low in reading. So back to the diagnosis in a university hospital. This research was done in Turkey, I believe. So maybe their requirements are quite different. I know for us, most of the time, if a school psychologist gives you a diagnosis, then that's pretty much legit. So the researchers conducted 20-minute interviews with the 3 participants and their parents. The researchers did not include the number of parents who were interviewed, so it's unclear if there were 6 parents or less. So I think this information would have been important because the more parents were interviewed, the more data would have been gathered to inform the researchers. So after the semi-structured interview questions were answered, the researchers concluded that computer-assisted fluency interventions improved the participants' correct words read per minute. So Essie's first reading was 23 correct with 4 incorrect words per minute. Her final reading was 55 correct and 0 incorrect words. She read 32 more correct words from her baseline. Utke's first reading was 41 correct with 1 incorrect words per minute. His final reading was 69 correct words with 0 incorrect words per minute. He read 28 more correct words from his baseline. Sarif's first reading was 19 with 1 incorrect words per minute. His final reading was 45 correct words and with 0 incorrect words per minute. He read 26 words more from his baseline. So overall, this was an effective intervention. And this is actually something that I'm looking to use for my students. As I mentioned before, I have middle school students who are reading on a 1st and 2nd grade level. So I'm very concerned with their fluency as well as motivation. So this is definitely something that I will be replicating. But the study would have been better if the researchers would have included the passages read and if the interview questions were in the study. So thank you so much for listening to my video, and the final one, comprehension, will be coming soon. Thank you.